Hi and welcome to Ryvis Rambles, where I talk about whatever the I want. And in today's video, I want to talk about the better Tokyo Revengers, Windbreaker. I'm not gonna talk about why Tokyo Revengers is shit in this video because it's all about Windbreaker. But if you want to hear my take on Tokyo Revengers, let me know in the comments below. But much like Tokyo Revengers, Windbreaker is about delinquent gangs. As the anime sums it up itself, it's a story about a guy at the lowest of the low who becomes a city's hero. Oh well, maybe it's not that dramatic, but he certainly becomes a part of a good, albeit brutal, cause. Okay. Windbreaker has a deepish and depressing beginning, and if that doesn't sound like the promise of a good time, I don't know what does. Our protagonist is Sakura Haruka, who's been ostracized due to his unique appearance. Being used to being bullied, he obviously has no other choice but to become a delinquent. To prove to himself and everyone else that he's the strongest, he moved from his hometown to attend Furin High, a high school infamous for its delinquent students. Sakura's goal is to fight his way to the top. On his first day in town, he runs into a girl being cornered by shady guys and rescues her despite himself. But it's not like he saved her or anything. The girl he didn't save is Kotoha. Sakura's ambition and confidence are great and all, but Kotoha makes a fair point. He isn't as strong on his own as opposed to having a team or others to depend on.
それでも風鈴のてっぺんは取れないわ。あんたは一人だから。
Which is later repeated by Umemiya, the current top of Furin High. The guy Sakura beat up comes back with a whole bunch of other guys. But there's still no match against Sakura until Kotoha comes out of her cafe to support him? However, her presence has the opposite effect, because now he can't just focus on beating up those guys, but also has to make sure to protect her. It appears Sakura is about to lose when other Furin High students appear and protect Sakura along with Kotoha. The Furin students effortlessly beat up the other guys. Turns out, the students of Furin High are basically a group of delinquents that see it as their duty to protect their town, which until recently was an unsafe place. They're called Bofurin, and the principle they act on is anyone past this point being the town's edge, who causes pain, brings destruction, or holds evil in their heart will be purged by Bofurin without exception. The next day, school starts. Sakura meets Nire, who's also a first year at Furin High and pretends to be tough. True to the motto, fake it till you make it, but that's just not who he is as a person. Even though Nire isn't strong physically, he's still brave, which doesn't amount to much as he still has to be saved by Sakura when he tried to protect someone else. But Sakura respects his efforts nonetheless. Nire is a perfect example of how you don't have to be strong to help others. There are different ways, for example, using your brain, which Nire is better at. He seems to know all the students of Furin High without having met any of them personally yet. That's because he collects all the data in a small notebook, like Midoriya from Boku no Hero Academia. So he's got information that could be used to one's advantage, but he mainly uses it to support Sakura. We also meet the Leonardo DiCaprio of Furin High, also known as Suo, my absolute fave. He likes to spout bullshit, which, same bro.
いいねいいねバチバチだね
Love his energy. So while they all more or less introduce each other, they're interrupted by Sugishita, who attacks Sakura because he straight up tells everyone that he wants to take the top spot. But Sugishita worships Umemiya, who is, as mentioned before, the current top of Furin High. And Sugishita will fight anyone who remotely offends his idol. Their fight, on the other hand, is interrupted by Umemiya himself, who's broadcasting a warm welcome to all the new students at school. Shortly after, the first years are called outside by their team captain, Hiragi. Now hold up a minute. Team captain? What does that mean? Glad you ask. Ow. There is a hierarchy at Bofurin. At the top we have the leader, Umemiya. Right below him are the 4 Heavenly Kings, who are the team captains, and each team consists of 3 classes. There is the Tamon team, Jikoku team, Dojo team, and Komoku team. But we only get to know the members of the Tamon team this season. Then there are secondary captains and vice captains, etc., but they didn't play a bigger role in this season. And lastly we have the great captains, but more on that later. Anyways, turns out that protecting the city doesn't involve fighting only, but also things like removing graffiti, helping the elderly, patrolling the city, and and so on. In return, they get food and stuff. On their patrol, they pass a bridge where a middle schooler from their turf is chased by a different gang, Shishitoren. The gangs are very territorial, and one of the unspoken rules is anyone who passes the border is fair game. But Sakura can't just stand by and watch someone else getting essentially bullied, so he, together with Sugishita, picks a fight with Shishitoren, much to Hiragi's dismay. Now, Shishitoren is a completely different story from both of them. Their motto is basically survival of the fittest. Anyone who shows the slightest bit of weakness, in this case one of their peers being beaten by Sakura and Sugishita, gets kicked off the gang. While Sakura and Sugishita had good intentions, their action does have consequences. Shishitoren's leader, Choji, feels provoked and wants a one-on-one fight with Umemiya to settle things. However, his vice leader Togame advises against it for various reasons. They postpone it and turn it into a kind of competition with multiple one-on-ones. To make it worth their while, something obviously has to be at stake, so they each bet their own gang. Winner takes all, basically. What follows are the one-on-one matches of Sugishita versus Arima, Suo versus Kanuma, and can I just say how much I love Suo's fighting style? Hiragi versus Kota, and Sakura versus Togame. The winners are Sugishita, Suo, Hiragi, and Sakura respectively. At first I thought it was kinda lame that Bofunin won all the matches, but then again it's the first mini-arc, so I guess it kinda makes sense. During Sakura's fight with Togame, we learned that Shishitoren isn't unfairly tyrannical, if there is such a thing, and that they don't pick on the weaker without a justified reason, if there is such a thing.
ここは強いやつの場所だから。クースがいていい場所じゃない。
Apart from that, we also learn about Shishitoren's past, how peaceful they'd been and what changed for them to become this tyrannical. Choji, their leader, wanted to have fun and be free, but he believes that only strong people can be free. However, once he became Shishitoren's leader, he still didn't feel truly free, I guess, so he wanted everyone else in the gang to become as strong as him. Hence his motive for fighting anyone that's stronger than him and sorting out the weak. The last match is Umemiya versus Choji. Umemiya wins, but he doesn't want to be Shishitoren's leader. Instead, he just wants them all to get along. Now that that's taken care of, we get to know 3 more characters. Himbotsugu Ura, who's super loud and strong, but also a tad naive. Serene Kiryu, who's quite the opposite in character, not in strength. And Kaji, who's his second-year grade captain. Oh, and much to his dismay, Sakura gets elected the grade captain of his class. It's basically the same as being a class rep. He doesn't feel up to the job at all, but since it's practically unanimous, he's left with not much of a choice. At least Suo and Nira support him as vice captains. The season ends with the introduction of a new gang, Keel. Anzai, a character I've never seen before, or if I did, he has quite the forgettable character design in an anime that suffers from the spot the main character syndrome. This guy, Anzai, was beaten up by them because he tried to get back his friend, Nagato, who's a member of Keel. Why do I think it's better than Tokyo Revengers? Because its main character isn't a total wimp and it's not riddled with plot holes. There, I said it. Windbreaker finds the perfect balance between action and storytelling. And while it can be brutal at times, it doesn't glorify violence. If anything, this anime was truly inspirational to me because it focuses more on friendship and anti-bullying. That strength shouldn't be used to inflict violence, but to help those who need it. And I don't want to say the weak, because just because someone needs help doesn't mean they're weak. You know what I mean. Violence should never be the answer, but it never hurts to be stronger than the scum out there. And I absolutely love the paradox of delinquents being actual heroes.
喧嘩をしていることには変わりないけど、今ではみんなに愛されて必要とされている。
なんだよそれ。そんなのまるで正義のヒーローじゃねえか。
While Windbreaker is funny most of the time, it can get quite emotional. For example, the whole backstory of Shishitoren, which funnily enough we learn more about the rival gang than the main gang in this season, but I don't hate it. I love Choji's slow descent into madness and his redemption at the end. I also love how Togame appears to be super cocky and confident, but in the end it turns out it was all just a facade to protect Choji's happiness.
ありがとう。守ってくれて。
Two of my favorite Togame moments are his nickname for Sakura, which is Othello-kun, because his hair is half black and half white like an Othello disc, and the Full Metal Alchemist rain scene. Then we also have Sakura's whole character, which, when you look deeper, is low-key depressing. His entire personality is based on his low self-worth, which is all rooted in his past. And yet, despite being shunned for something as stupid as his appearance, Sakura wants to help others. But since he has such a low perception of himself, he can't deal with people being kind to him. Once he's elected grade captain, he realizes that he doesn't know his classmates' names, because so far, there was never any reason for him to remember anyone's name because no one ever wanted to be associated with him. But with the whole class putting their trust in him, he wants to put in the effort to learn their names.
クラスのやつプラスこの人数の顔と名前を覚えるのか
Windbreaker is one of the animes where I just love all the characters. But if I had to pick a favorite, it's definitely Suo, closely followed by Togame and Sakura. I don't know if I have to explain why I like Suo, because he seems to be most people's favorite, but as I mentioned before, I just love how he spouts nonsense with such a matter-of-fact, unashamed seriousness.
ちなみにこの眼帯は右目に古代中国の悪霊を封印してあってね。いいねいいね。青春だね。
何がいいんだろう
気をつけてくださいね。死なないようにね。
He also has a playfully arrogant aura, without ever being actually arrogant. But even if he were, he totally has the skills to back it up. Another thing I mentioned before is that his fighting style is my favorite. Togame's fighting style, for example, I don't like at all. It might be effective, but it looks ridiculous. I also didn't like Togame when he was first introduced. For one, because he speaks so slowly, which Sakura points out as well.
ていうか君喋るの早すぎ
てめえが押せだけだろ
And secondly, because he looked like a knockoff version of Tsubaki from Servan, my all-time #1 favorite character, closely followed by Chuya from Momo Stray Dogs. But once his tragic past was revealed, damn, I just couldn't help but like him. Not only because it explained his behavior, but also because it revealed how much he cared for Choji. Much like Sakura, Togame is a deeply hurt character, but he concealed it all for the sake of another. I'm a total sucker for characters like that. And Sakura is just a good and, in my opinion, very relatable protagonist. I totally get where he's coming from, and I feel nothing but respect for people who have gone through traumatic experiences but don't use it as an excuse to be a shitty person, but use it to be better. Better than the people that abused them. In Sakura's case, he helps others because he doesn't want anyone else to go through what he had to go through and to feel as helpless as he did. And the fact that people being genuinely kind to him is such an alien concept to him was also very relatable to me. It's so fun to watch his reaction, but at the same time it's really sad when you think about why he reacts like that.
前財布拾った時はお前が吸ったんだろって言われたんだぞ
Anyways, the second season has already been confirmed and I'm so pumped. I know I could read the manga, but I simply don't have the time. I just don't. If you've already watched Windbreaker, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're a Tokyo Revengers stan, fight me, if you dare. If listening to random people talking about random stuff on the internet appeals to you, leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any topics you'd like to hear me ramble about, leave a suggestion in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye!
そう来なくっちゃ